Mohammed Shoaib, start your episode today on Daily Vice channel. Now we turn to something different and very special. It's a story decades in the making that sheds light on the politics of today in the broadest sense. I've been working on parts of this for the last few weeks and I believe it will interest you a lot. It begins as a story of crime and drugs, politics and fashion in 1970s Harlem with shootouts, dice games and a drug epidemic that sparked a national crackdown in policing. Greater than on the streets of New York it's called crack and the deals go down quickly. Greater than with crack so cheap and accessible on in or at the streets and a waiting list for drug treatment programs so long, no one is even guessing how widespread the epidemic of crack babies will be. Greater than this squad of white is heading for patrol duty in Black Harlem. There been charges of abuse and mentality. Greater than the U.S. murder hit an all-time high in 1900. New York was ground zero. Ruthless gangsters like Nicky Barnes scared the city and many saw it as a problem of black inner-city neighborhoods while gangsters outside New York terrorized New York. Gangsters assassinated mob boss Big Paul. And New Yorkers like Donald Trump called for a crackdown as law and order became a national political mantra. Greater than I hate these people. Let's all hate these people because maybe hate is what we need if we're going to get something done. Greater than crime today is an American epidemic. We intend to do what is necessary to end the drug menace and end organized crime. Greater than there were laws on the war on drugs. This was the vice president that raised this man. Daniel Day, born in Harlem in 1944, he did what many young men did to survive, hustling, gambling, finding ways to make money underground. While so many of his peers were cut down by drugs or violence or prison, he not only survived he thrived by building the persona Dapper Dan. First as one of the best-dressed hustlers in Harlem, then as a salesman, then turning himself into the fashion icon he is today, originating a luxury-style fashion companies were not offering. Top houses like Louis Vuitton and Gucci did not cater to Harlem's community. He saw a market opportunity. His peers. Dan knew then what many corporations were ignoring. Harlem had style, customers and it had money, especially from the gangsters. He innovated a whole new look, buying up Gucci bags and bags for the logo and marketing that as a new street clothes and marketing it as a street style, a downtown mix of luxury uptown. Take a look at this Gucci jacket with the logo featured along with the custom leather trim. It repurposes the iconic Gucci for a new jacket. Dan's customers said they knew he was making something original. They weren't paying for the Gucci logo, but for remix. The style became a hit with underworld anti-heroes like some of these gangsters. Dan lined some of the boats with bulletproof material upon request. Athletes and musicians started to echo the same style. Here are his jackets for Mike Tyson or Walter Berry, sporting the jacket cover. And the same look favored here by the rapper, the Fat Boys or rapper LL Cool J, wearing a tracksuit covered in those logos. Stars ranging from Beyoncé to Salma Hayek would go on to rock Dan's signature style. And Dan's Harlem shop grew from the attention. His customers paid extra for the Dapper Dan look. They knew they weren't buying a Gucci product, just like Andy Warhol's fans knew he was making art, not soup ads. But the fashion houses did not see it that way. They cracked down, suing Dan, seizing his product. More heat followed. Subpoenas for his Harlem clients, raids on his store. There was even a talented young lawyer, Sonia Sotomayor WHO, showed up one day to help her client lead a raid. She did everything by the book and even complimented a mink coat he had in the showroom. Dan had many customers and artists on his side, and most culture echoes something. Picasso joked bad artists copy and good artists steal. He openly remixed other artists like you see here, Velázquez. But the fashion houses had power and money on their side, and they ran Dan's shop out of business. He went back underground. Followed some financial troubles and sad days with the next step after his life's work was shut down. Now in his 70s, what was left? I want to tell you, this story could end there, but the thing about artists copying and stealing, it came full circle as one of the fashion houses that sued Dan was now copying his signature look you see here from 1989, the Dapper Dan outfit, and Gucci echoing it in this runway jacket in 2017, igniting controversy over why a corporation gets to do the very thing it sued Dan over. They first claimed it was an homage, and the story might end there with blowback until people moved on. But then Gucci partnered with Dan to reopen his boutique in Harlem so they could make clothes together, uniting the fashions of the runway and the street under one roof, and offering an alternative ending for two styles that were so rivalrous, they competed as they copied each other. This all includes Dan's triumphant return at the height of fashion at Anna Wintour's Met Gala this past May. Dan said people coveted his fashion because he deconstructed brands to the essence of their power crests that signified wealth, power and prestige. He claims my customers wanted to buy into that power. Dan built wealth, respect, and power for himself and his community and lost some of it when those corporations came for him. It's a testament to his work in the spirit of Harlem that he now stands taller than ever astride these two worlds, drawing respect and power from both. My special guest tonight is Dapper Dan. Thanks for being here. Greater than thank you, thank you. That was excellent introduction. Thank you so much. Greater than you have inspired a lot of people. How did you persevere when as we saw there was so much coming up against you? Greater than you know, Ari, I think that when you're born poor and you go through trials and tribulations, you evaluation that ability to bounce back. Everybody know how to do good. What we learned early on how to do bad. So coming back was just my blood. Greater than we look at a young Donald Trump. Greater than yes. Greater than bad-mouthing Harlem. We looked at President Reagan singling out the drug epidemic. What did you learn from the excesses of crime and violence in that era that you had survive? Greater than you would have to have lived in it to understand, right? And at the time, when the RICO Act put a lot of minority people in jail, but at the time there was a major change taking place. You can argue that we have a lot of men of color in the national penitentiaries and throughout the country now, but you have to have seen what a crack baby looks like, you know. When you see what a crack baby looks like, and if you go back in time to see what that did, to see a baby crying through the night and seeing families begging and walking away and leaving their children, it's a different feel. Greater than we have a culture I would argue across diverse communities where there is a glorification with the drug and gangster life, whether it's the Godfather and that's Italian Mafia, or the Harlem gangsters we're talking about or Scarface. What do you say to young people who look at this how to tap into that without being destroyed by it? Greater than that's the irony. The thing I'm trying to escape from, they were glorifying. It turned out that way. But the message try to give to young guys is, you know, we, the gangsters, we were never and the culture was never about glorifying and staying involved in it. The culture was about the gangsters was to escape it, and then the rappers came along and changed the message. They changed it, make it look glorified, make it look honey-coated, and it wasn't honey at all. Greater than I want to take a page out of musician NOS, WHO is very famous, worked with many artists, talking about you. Because so many people in the culture in Harlem and beyond knew about you, even after you were shut down. Take a look. Greater than he had the foresight to do back then what they just started doing maybe 10 years, 5 years after him. Greater than would you be at the height you are now without the stars and without the streets, and which mattered more in supporting you. Greater than it's a combination of both, because the stars are important because they interpret the culture of the street. And the reason the stars gravitated towards me is I was the street. They were buying into the life that I walked away from. So the credibility was enormous. I'm the guy in between. WHO can take them there, WHO can give them that credibility. And that's why they gravitated towards me. Greater than you right in here, the only people WHO were excited about hustling were peep. WHO didn't actually have to do it every day. Greater than exactly. The street has a light side and a dark side. If you don't understand that, you'll be there when it implodes. Even a person like myself, as skilled and as knowledgeable of it myself, I had to realize that you cannot be in it and not of it. So eventually I had to withdraw. And when I went underground, I said I have a bullet in my neck as a result of trying to be there, you know. I had a 3-story building on 125th Street. But I started out from a table on 125th Street. And when the brands rated me down, I always prepared myself to start all over again, and I went back to a table on 125th Street. And then underground for 20 years, man. So that's something I was prepared to do. Greater than I want to ask you something a little funny that is the exact story you describe. Near the end of the book, everything is shut down, it looks dark, and you say you had trouble even selling a t-shirt at that very table. Yes. And I read that, and I thought here's someone, if I may, and tell me if I'm wrong, here's someone WHO has incredible pride but very little ego. And that's the key. If you can bury your ego, then there is always possibilities. You know, I'm riding around in a Mercedes-Benz, GUCCIED out. I'm riding around with a Jeep, MCM out. I'm the talk of the town. But I had to learn to swallow that and go back to where I started it, and start all over again. And that incident you talking about, when I had to start all over, I was out there and tour buses was coming to Harlem and 125th Street, and I was trying to sell t-shirts. I counted 144 buses and didn't sell one t-shirt. Greater than in a single day, greater than in a single day. And I was determined to turn that around. The next day, the next year I looked up, I had $100,000, so that's what perseverance is. But I knew that I could do that. Greater than did you think you'd be here at this age, at this height? Greater than my mission was to talk about what we be talking about now. I've seen it. I'm the last generation that's seen Harlem before a drug epidemic. And I need to remind people like of what we are. This is not WHO we are. All the children that's growing up now and the young men growing up now, they're growing up in a drug culture, and I have to tell the story. Fashion is my platform to tell, it's the biggest story, and that's what I want to do. But I think the devastating and the root of a lot of young black men and Hispanic young men in jail has everything to do with the incumbent share that grew out of the drug epidemics. Greater than it's a fascinating story that you tell here, and that you're here to continue to lead on. I appreciate you coming by, the beat. The boo.